The last interaction we're going to look at is the phases of the moon. The phases occur because of the position of the Earth, Moon, and Sun, and how the revolution of the moon goes around Earth, and then how Earth is going around the Sun determines how much of the moon is going to be lit up, and so how much of it we can actually see. So we've got different motions that are going at this time. So Earth is revolving around the Sun at the same time as it's rotating on its axis, and the moon itself is also rotating on its axis as it revolves around the Earth. So we've got spinning here, and then we've got revolving, and we've got spinning here, and then we've got revolving around the Sun as well. So all those interactions are going to change the view that we see of the moon. This happens so the moon spins on its axis about once every 28 days, and it also revolves around Earth once every 28 days. And so because those two things are matched up, we always see the same we always see the same side of the moon. It's geosynchronously linked, and so we never see the backside of the moon. When they did the Apollo landing and they flew around the backside of the moon in some of the previous Apollo missions, that was the first time that human beings had ever seen the backside of the moon because it's never facing Earth. So we know that the moon doesn't shine, right? Because shining happens because of energy being released, and the moon isn't releasing any energy. The energy from shining comes from the sun, right? When the hydrogen atoms are fusing into helium atoms, and it's releasing a lot of energy, and it's releasing a lot of light. So what we see is a reflection of the sunlight off of the moon. Because the moon is such a light color, we see a lot of reflection, which is why it looks all big, bright, and white in the sky. If the moon were a darker color, or darker in color, it wouldn't look quite so bright and white in our sky. You wouldn't see quite as much of it. So as we go around our phases, our first phase we're going to talk about is a new moon. And when you look at the phases of the moon, it's all about the position, once again, of the sun, moon, and earth. So no matter how you look at a diagram of this, you always look at where is the sun, where is the light coming on earth, and then where is the moon that's in relation to that. So in a new moon, we see it's dark because we're seeing the backside of the moon here is what's getting the sunlight, right? So that's going to be reflecting the light back towards the sun, and this side is going to be in shadow. So we don't see anything during the new moon. At first quarter, as we moved around, okay, now we're going to see half of the moon, because half of the moon, this side is going to be lit up, and this side is not, because this side is away from the sun. So we see half of the moon. When it comes to a full moon, now we see the front side of the moon that's facing us, right, is all the way lit up. The whole moon's not lit up, just the whole side of it that's facing us is lit up, because the sunlight is coming around the sides of Earth and it's lighting up the moon. Third quarter now, once again, we're only seeing this side. We're only seeing the side that's closest to the sun. Okay, that's lit up. Now, in between those, there's other parts to the cycle in between the quarters. So it takes about 4 weeks, and then we start the cycle again. So like I said, in between, there are distinct phases that happen between our quarters. So we have our new moon once again, and right now the sun is over here in our diagram. So Earth is here in the middle, and the sun is over here. And we're going to go around the phases of the moon. So waxing means to get bigger. So we have a waxing crescent. So the crescent is just this little sliver right here of the moon that's lit up, and we wax on to get bigger. And we go to our first quarter moon. Once again, remember our sun's over here, so it's lighting up this side of the moon, and so we're seeing that half of it. We see the right-hand side. Gibbous means humped or humpbacked, and because I guess it looks like a bump on the side of the moon, I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but during a gibbous we have the majority of the moon's lit up, but not quite all of it until we get to the full moon. So waxing, because it's still getting bigger, that right-hand side of the moon is still lit up, and then now we're going to start to get smaller, and now we have the left-hand side that's lit up. So now we're waning. To wane means to get smaller or to decrease. So we're in a waning gibbous, and now we're in third quarter. We're a waning crescent, where we're only seeing a little sliver on this side, and this side is dark. So we've gone around our phases of the moon.